Hi Grace, thanks for coming in today.
Hi.
What's bringing you in? What's been going on?
I've just been comparing myself to others when I'm on screens and stuff.
Tell me, where do you usually scroll? What kind of apps are you using?
TikTok or Instagram.
Okay. So when you're scrolling TikTok and Instagram, what are you comparing yourself to?
The other girls on the internet and how they look.
Okay. Um, so we're gonna do a little thought challenging with that, if you're okay with that. So I'd like you to think for a minute. I'm gonna have you write some things down about a recent situation that you had where you were feeling pretty anxious about this. Can you tell me what that was like? What the situation was?
I saw this girl on TikTok and she had a perfect body, perfect hair, and perfect skin. And I was kind of just like, why do I not look like that?
Okay. So you see this girl and she looks quote unquote perfect to you.
Yes.
Okay. So in that moment, what would you say was the actual thought you were having?
They're so perfect and I'll never look like that.
They're so perfect, I'll never look like that. Can you write that down for me? Okay. All right. When you think that thought of they're so perfect, I'll never look like that. If we could put a feeling connected to that thought, what were you feeling at that time?
Shame.
Shame. Okay. Can you write down shame on there for me? Tell me a little bit more about the shame.
Like, why don't I look like that? Like, everybody on the internet looks like that, and I'm like the single person that does not.
Okay. So I want you to take that thought that you were feeling, and we're going to kind of deconstruct it and make it into something a little bit more neutral, because our brains can overcompensate, and once we start thinking negatively, it can kind of be like a spiral, like a pattern. What evidence do you have that this girl or these people you saw were perfect?
They had a perfect body. They had like perfect bronze skin. They had like no pimples, and they just had like a flat stomach.
Okay. So there were definitely things you could see.
Yes.
Okay. What evidence do you have that you will never look like that?
Just like I don't have their face structure, or I'm not built like them, and I just don't look like them.
Okay. So you could tell you're not the same kind of person. Okay. What evidence do you have to not support these things? So starting with they're so perfect. What do you have that maybe does not support that?
Like, a lot of it's like fake on the internet, edited stuff. They did it 100 times to get the perfect shot, stuff like that.
Okay. So it wasn't a one and done, and there's probably some doctoring of the image. Okay. What evidence do you have to not support? I'll never look like that.
I don't really know what I'm gonna look like in a few years.
Yeah. You're not done growing, not done maturing.
Yeah.
You have no idea how you'll grow into that. So, okay. So, would you say a lot of what we just talked about are facts, or are they comparisons? Comparisons. Okay. So you are comparing yourself to some ideal, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now that we know that they're not really facts, and you look at that original thought, which was
they're so perfect and I'll never look like them.
Okay. And given some of the information you said about it could be doctored images, it could have been they tried 5 different times, 100 different times to get that picture. What kind of neutral thought or non-negative thought do you think you could come up with to replace that one?
Maybe like I'm comparing myself to like an edited photo.
Okay. Can you write that one down for me?
Yeah.
So one way we can kind of deal with some of this anxiety is just to notice when we're thinking that negative thought and replace it with something more neutral. So I'd encourage you to, as you're scrolling, anytime you feel that pop up, you try to tell yourself that I'm comparing myself to an edited photo.
Okay.
Okay. There's a couple other things that we can do to. They're mindfulness exercises, and they kind of symbolically like help you release some of those thoughts you're having. So if you're willing to try it with me, I'd like you to maybe just get cozy for a second and close your eyes. I want you to think about just some calmness. Think about sitting outside in nature, maybe next to a stream. Hearing the noises associated with the water. Maybe it's a fall day and there's leaves falling from the trees, landing in the water. And you're watching those leaves just kind of go down the stream and out of sight. So what I'd like you to do now is think about that initial thought you had of they're so perfect, I'll never look like that. I want you to try to imagine actually taking that thought and putting it on one of those leaves. And watch it as it goes down the stream and far away. And maybe some of those other thoughts that you shared about their bodies are so perfect, their skin is so perfect, putting those thoughts on leaves and watching them go down the stream. Take a few deep breaths. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. How was that for you?
It was very calming, and it kind of just, made me feel a little better.
Okay, good. So that's another technique that you can use when you notice your body getting kind of overstimulated by these thoughts that you're having. And we're going to do one more before you leave for today. Okay. So I want you to think about that last time that you were really upset about how you look in comparison to these other people on TikTok, okay? If you, at that time, could rate your anxiety or negative feelings about yourself on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being there was no anxiety to 10 being the highest it's ever been, what do you think it would have been at the time?
Probably around 8.
8, okay. So feeling pretty anxious.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna do what's called like a body reset or a grounding exercise, where when we get really overwhelmed and we get lost in our thoughts, it's just a way to put us back in the here and now. Okay. So it's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Can you tell me in this room 5 things you can see?
You, this paper, the pictures on the walls, your desk, and your computer.
Okay. Can you tell me 4 things you could touch right now?
My hands, my shirt, my hair, and the wall.
Okay. Tell me 3 things you hear.
Your voice, my voice, and the writing of my pencil.
Okay. Tell me 2 either things you smell or 2 of your favorite smells that you have.
My 2 favorite smells are candles and just outside.
Okay. And 1 taste. So if you're not tasting anything right now, is there a taste that is your favorite?
Chocolate cake.
Chocolate cake. That's a good one. Okay. So after we do that, where's your anxiety right now on a scale of 0 to 10?
I'd say 3.
3. Okay. Okay. And granted, we're not in the moment of you scrolling right now.
Yeah.
But that is another way you can use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 at school, at home. You could do it without anybody even knowing, because you would just stop yourself and say, okay, what are 5 things in this room I can see? Okay. So just to wrap up, next time you're scrolling, we're going to notice the things we're thinking. Mm-hmm. We're going to try to use those neutral thoughts instead of the negative thoughts. And you've got a few other mindfulness activities where you could do the leaves on a stream, watch them wash away, and you can try the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay. Thanks, Grace. I appreciate it.
Thank you.